which is also derived from the Latin word originally known as manifesto, which means clear or conspicuous. In other words, we're telling you clearly what we want to do for you when we get into office. In Latin, when you say manifesto, it tells you clearly a list of things that somebody intends to do, something he intends to achieve. So the political parties over time now adopted this and began to call it manifesto, which is the Italian version of manifesto, which is originally Latin. The idea is to, in those days, that when people want to contest the election, when people want to gain power, the people need to know what they will do for them when they get into power. They don't just give you power because you desire to have power. Whether that is done in our own system or not, that is a different kettle of fish. If I ask you now, how many of you know anything about APC manifesto? How many of you have ever read APC manifesto? How many of you ever read PDP manifesto? Those of you who are Labour Party members, how many of you have read the Labour Party? Good. Again, in the English society in 1620, it was first recorded. There was a man called Nathaniel Brent who translated history, a man called Paolo Sapi's history of the Council of Trent. You know, if you go back in reading the history of Rome, of Latin, you see a Council of Trent. You know, this is where, for the first time, people started talking about knowing what parties want to do for them when they come in. So people started recording when you want to come in, you write a list of what you will do for us and you share it amongst you. Over time, it has now developed into what we today call the document we now call manifesto. Of course, in civilized societies like the United States of America, you can tell from the word go who is a conservative. And when you look at their conservative manifesto, there are certain things you expect to see. You expect to look at them and you see people who want to preserve the culture of the society, who want to preserve, you know, what the society, quote unquote, you know, stands for. You go to the liberals, which are the Democrats. In their own case, what they will see is free market. You know, a market where anybody can come and trade. A typical example is what is happening today in the United States. If you followed clearly the Joe Biden's administration, which is a liberal administration, and now we are in Donald Trump's administration, you see what is happening. I don't know if you're following American, you know, you're following what is going on in CNN and other news media in America. Trump has come in. Conservatism has come in. He appointed Elon Musk to head what they call DOGE. DOGE now goes to every department and says, in fact, last week they said to everybody who is at work, you must write, sorry? A summary of what you have done in the past 2 weeks. So once you write it, we see whether you actually qualify to continue to be on your seat or not. They have come into every agency to say, show us how much you have spent on this and on that and all that. They have stopped USAID. They felt that, that is not conservative. America is freely giving its money to people sponsoring all kinds of things. There are stories, which of course, we know that they are not exactly true of who they sponsor or who they didn't sponsor. But this will tell you clearly, the difference between the conservatives and the liberals. But I don't think it is so in our own system. In our own system, you don't find people in the so-called liberal working in the conservative, In our own system, the Democratic Party is supposed to, PDP is supposed to represent the liberal, isn't it? And APC is supposed to represent the conservative. But like I said, none of you have even read any of their manifestos. But in where best practices, or rather where in developed political systems, you cannot win an election without a clear mandate shown in your manifesto of what you want to do when you get into office, and people will compare it with what the others want to do, and on that basis they will vote for you. But in our own system, I think we are voting for slams rather than for they say APC change. You vote for change, right? But that change, what is it coming with? Or PDP, power to the people. You vote to receive power as power to the people, but you don't know what those powers are. That's the difference with what we have in places where things are done the way it should be done. That's the major difference. In clear terms, statements published by political parties expressing their aims and their policies. This is what we aim to do. In order for us to do this, this is how we are going to do it. We hope to increase revenue. And how do we increase revenue? We are going to increase taxes for the rich by 5%. Those are what the kinds of things that manifestos should document. They should document your declaration, your position on programs, for example. You could say on your manifesto that whatever happens, that you do not support abortion, for example. So they should know that your party does not support abortion. Then the other party will say, we want women to do whatever they want to do with their body. In other words, the freedom of whether to do abortion or not